Sunderland look finally set to sign a centre-back, which means I and all Sunderland fans can rest easy. In this video today, we are going to talk about Omar Alderete, a centre-back from Getafe. We're going to find out who he is, whether it's a good bit of business, and what it means for Sunderland. So all that is coming up now. So we'll start with the who. So who is Omar Alderete? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but he is a Paraguayan international who's currently plying his trade at Getafe, and that's a Getafe team that is known for being defensively very strong, and he's been at the heart of that. In his career, he moved to Europe in 2019 to join Basel. He had then a move to Hertha Berlin, loan spells at Valencia and Getafe before joining Getafe permanently in 2023. He's currently 28 years of age, which means he fits the bill of having plenty of experience at the top level, but also, you know, being a player where he's in his peak or about to hit his peak as a defender. Normally it is the sort of mid to late 20s, where they're at their best, and Alderete fits that bill perfectly. But ultimately, what will he bring? And that's the most important question. We've been desperate for Sunderland to sign a centre-back, and we needed someone to accompany Dan Ballard, really, but also potentially two centre-backs to, you know, really push Dan Ballard, especially with the injuries that Sunderland have at the back. And I think Alderete, if you would describe him for Football Manager players, this would be a no-nonsense defender. This is a player that is very, very good at defending, not very good at passing the ball and distribution, but he has a lot of things to love, and a lot of things that will, you know, make him very, very good for a team. Certainly a team that is expected to do a lot of defending, as Sunderland will, as one of the weaker teams in the Premier League. And I mentioned before, Getafe are a shithouse team, it's fair to say. They are, you know, one of the strongest defences in La Liga. They only conceded 39 goals last season, which is the exact same amount as Barcelona did, and they won the league. Only really Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid could compare with them defensively. They're the best defensive record pretty much of every other team in the league, which is very, very impressive, you know, and that's a team that finished 13th last season. Omar himself is 6'2". He's physically dominant, very strong in the air. He's also a decent ball carrier. So while I mentioned his passing not being particularly good, his ball carrying is very good, so he can, you know, take the ball out of defence. And Dan Ballard at Sunderland's pretty good at that as well. Luke 9 is also pretty good at that. But that is one of the things he does have. So he's not just a sort of kick and rush defender, a header kicker. He does have a little bit more to his game than that, although he is excellent at doing, you know, those basic defensive tasks. And I think the main takeaway that I can see from looking at his data and also seeing bits of Getafe last season is that he's just an outstanding defender. You know, somebody who loves to defend, a purely defensive player. He's not going to be, you know, taking mad risks. He's going to be assured at the back, and you know that if a ball's coming into the box, there's a good chance that he'll win it and head it out, very much like Sunderland did against Coventry in the playoffs. And I think this is a guy who is, you know, he's top level for clearances, top level for blocks, top level for aerial duels. He's good from corners defensively and offensively, and I think that that's really, really important. You know, it just adds in a top player for those things, and I think it's something that Sunderland have really lacked. They don't really have a player currently who is, you know, world class at those things, and I think that, you know, partnering him and Dan Ballard together, if you're having to batten down the hatches, you know, away from home at Man City, they're two players that love to defend and could spend all day just winning balls, heading the ball away. So this to me is it's a massive tick in the box to see that. I think where he is bad, he's not much of a passer of the ball. He had like the lowest pass attempts of any defender. His pass accuracy is not the best. He prefers longer passes. So we're not going to be seeing kind of, you know, this isn't like a Luke 9 centre-back. Luke 9 is really, really good at the ball side of it, the distribution side of it, you know, and maybe less so the defensive side of it, though he is a good defender. This guy is just pure defense, you know, and as I said, he's a no-nonsense defender. That's exactly how you describe him. I think the main takeaway is that he was one of the best defenders in La Liga last season. He got in the La Liga Team of the Year. He's somebody who would be an immediate upgrade at the back for Sunderland, and that is crucial, you know, heading into this Premier League season. This is a guy who should make us defensively a far sturdier outfit, and that's really, really important, because the main worry, as anybody knows who watches this channel, but also just generally Sunderland fans who watch us, the main concern really has been defensive and just not having that new centre-back in there, and this will tick a lot of boxes for Sunderland. So what does this mean sort of long term? And this kind of feeds into what my verdict is on this. I think that this is probably a player that has been on Sunderland's list all summer, but they didn't think he would become available. And then when he has become available, Sunderland have swooped in. He's a left-sided centre-back. So there is been clear links with Sunderland with signing a left-sided centre-back. Reggie Slibbery loves to have a proper left-sided centre-back and a proper right-sided centre-back. We've seen John Lusumi, who's been linked. He is a left-sided centre-back. I don't know if this impacts that move, but I would guess that this probably does. I would say that this is going to be that signing. Sunderland wanted an experienced late 20s centre-back who could play on the left side, and Lusumi was that, Alderete is that, and I think that this is going to mean that we probably won't go for Lusumi. That's just kind of my reading on this. I think as well, Sunderland aren't going to be done at centre-back. I think they will buy in another one on top of Alderete. I think that they were clearly comfortable paying 30 million-ish for a centre-back, and this one's coming in at 10 million-ish. So that suggests to me that there is budget there to buy in another one. I think we always kind of thought, we saw links to like Neaf Agard from West Ham, who was a similar sort of price range, similar sort of player profile. And I think that this is what this is for Sunderland. I think this is maybe they're looking at this as being potentially the centre-back that competes in there, not necessarily the first name on the team sheet. But I think it also represents a significant saving. I don't know if Sunderland thought they would be able to buy in a top-level centre-back for this sort of price. And we also saw with the goalkeeper search, they were willing to pay 25 million-ish for Bulger, and they ended up paying like 10 for Robin Roofs. So it suggests that there probably is room to manoeuvre within this budget. I think Sunderland clearly had a very large transfer budget to begin with, and they were clearly willing to spend top dollar to bring in those players. But if you're able to get them in cheaper, like from my count, that means that there's probably 15 million from the goalkeeper search, and then maybe even 15-ish plus million for the centre-back search. So you add that together there, that's 30 million pounds that Sunderland have maybe saved. I would think that they're probably still going to bring in another centre-back. I still think they'll probably bring in another left-sided attacking midfielder, winger, and I think that that would probably just about sum up what Sunderland need, really, in terms of transfer business. This is I think this would be maybe their 12th purchase after Arthur Masuaku. So they've done a lot of work. I still think they need a centre-back to come in to really bolster that back line. But this is a massive tick in the box. This is a real positive for Sunderland, because it's bringing in an experienced defender from La Liga. He's played in the top league. He's played for a team that was defensively solid last season. He's a bit of a master of the dark arts as well. I think this is ultimately a big win for Sunderland. I didn't think that they would necessarily get a player in like this. You know, I thought we were going to see a different sort of profile centre-back, but I'm quite glad that they're going down a bit more of an experienced route. And I also think it's crazy that Sunderland just do business in the dark. Like, this deal sort of comes from nowhere. We've not really been linked with this player. I know he's been linked with a few other Premier League teams. I think Leeds have been linked with him. But this deal sort of just comes from nothing, and it's the same with the deal that they did for Masuaku. You know, we saw that deal happen out of the blue. And I think it's really refreshing that we don't see sagas play out. Like, you see what happened up the road with Newcastle. Newcastle just constantly having all their transfer news and stories leaked to the press. I don't know who's leaking them, but it seems to stifle their movement, seems to stifle their deals. It seems to make it difficult for them to do business, and Sunderland just kind of stealthily move through, get business done, don't leak anything to the press. It's just about, you know, business, getting this over the line and getting the big deals done. So anyway, let me know what you think about this signing. Let me know what you think in terms of what Sunderland need going forward. Is this the end of the transfer hunt for a centre-back, or do you think they still need another one? I personally do. But let me know, and I'll engage in the comments with you, and we'll catch you for the next video.